A great white shark called Shark Alpha, a 9-foot 500-pound great white, was tagged off southwestern Australia in 2003. And at first everything seems normal, until the tag eventually gets washed up and comes back to the researchers. And when the data is checked, it looks like the great white didn't just swim away or lose his tag. It looks like something bigger ate it. And I know, upon hearing them words, it sounds absolutely mental. Something ate a great white shark, and it only gets more mysterious from here, because the data suggests just that. Could it be that some other prehistoric animal, maybe even another huge aquatic creature, is still out there in the open? And that, my friends, is exactly what this video is about, because we're going to blow this case wide open. You see, the tag that washed up actually records depth, temperature, and movement. And when the scientists examined the tag, it appears to have gone down to a depth of roughly 1900 feet. Now that doesn't seem strange at first, but what does is what happened to the temperature. You see, at that depth you'd expect cold water, but instead the tag suddenly registered warmth as it dived deeper down. And this is where the whole mystery begins, because you can explain maybe a tag coming loose and sinking, maybe you could explain the shark diving and the temperature would drop with it, but the tag dropped at an alarming speed to the bottom of the ocean. Didn't get colder, but got warmer, almost like something had ate the animal it was attached to. And it wasn't attached to some small fish, it was attached to a 500-pound great white shark. And immediately this is where the Megalodon walks straight into the story. A great white shark eaten by a bigger shark, the Megalodon. Could this prove that the Megalodon exists? Well, hold that thought, let's go into what actually could have happened. Could it just simply been eaten by another predator in the ocean, such as an orca? You see, Shark Alpha plunged straight down the side of the continental shelf, more than 1,500 feet deep. The only predator we know of which could do that, which is alive today, could either be another great white or an orca. You see, the ambient temperature surrounding the sensor jumped from 46 degrees Fahrenheit to a warm 78 degrees Fahrenheit after it plummeted to 1900 feet. Now, Shark Alpha could have been attacked by an orca, as some orcas have been known to attack great whites, although there is a huge problem with this. You see, matching the exact stomach temperature profile to an orca and the deep water behavior of an orca sparked some debate. You see, the internal temperature of an orca's stomach doesn't match that of what the probe was recording. And also, the hunting pattern doesn't match. An orca wouldn't grab his prey and suddenly descend 1,500 feet to the bottom of the continental shelf. Whatever took our Shark Alpha wasn't an orca. The way the probe dived had me thinking, could it possibly been ensnared in the tentacles of a giant squid, grabbed and taken down to the depths to be devoured alive? I mean, giant squids have been things of legends, and there are giant squids out there which could potentially be big enough to take on and eat a great white shark. Could there be a colossal giant squid lurking in the depths which took our Shark Alpha? Well, as much as I love the idea of it, that couldn't be the case, because squids are cold-blooded and cannot match the warm temperature we saw that probe go towards. You see, their internal body temperature actually matches the freezing water of the deep ocean, meaning the squid could never provide or sustain a steady 78 degrees Fahrenheit reading. And not only that, there's one part of this mystery I haven't even touched on yet. You see, after the attack a few days later, the target kept moving, and it went back to the surface for a day or two, matching the behavior of a warm-blooded, air-breathing or large-swimming predator. It's also worth noting that the only animal to ever prey on a great white was an orca, and we've already ruled that out. And even if we thought it was an orca has never been recorded reaching any deeper than 850 feet. And this probe went down to 1900, double the amount. And this is the part of the video that gets extremely interesting, because we're going to cover a few explanations now, and I promise you, a few of these will blow your mind. You see, one of the explanations is a colossal great white shark. You see, great white sharks are actually cannibalistic. They've been recorded to be cannibals in the past. And a colossal great white shark can grow up to 20 feet, and the shark which was tagged obviously was a great white, but it was roughly around 10 feet. Now, colossal great whites are rare, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean there wasn't one out in the ocean, and it preyed on the size of this smaller shark, our Shark Alpha. The probe data could support this theory. I mean, a larger shark attacking our Shark Alpha, potentially swallowing it whole and taking it then down to the depths, matches a shark pattern, or potentially biting off a fin or a part of the shark which contained the tag. That would make sense. Seems like a pretty open shut case now, right? But here's the thing, that's not entirely true. No known shark, even the larger great whites, has the swimming capacity to dive that deep, that fast. The way the probe was taken and dived that fast, especially with a 10-foot shark in its mouth, nothing can dive that quick. And if something was going to drag that animal down to that depth, it would need some force to pull it down that far that quickly. Now, I know what you're thinking. Immediately, your thought goes to the Megalodon. It is a gigantic prehistoric beast. Could easily have the force to swallow any great white shark whole, even a colossal great white shark, and easily return to the depths in that amount of time. And I know you're probably thinking, well, the Megalodon doesn't exist. Well, we thought the same thing about the giant squids. Before we ever saw a giant squid, we saw the physical evidence, the attack wounds on whales, the depths at which they lived, and the attacks they left on their prey. Now, could this be that we're starting to see the evidence that megalodons are out there in the oceans, and we're finally starting to see the physical evidence? Now, if you don't know what a megalodon shark is, it basically grew up to 3 times longer than the modern great white shark, had huge teeth, and a massive body. It was the apex predator of its time, hunted whales, seals, sea cows, you name it, it hunted it. Lived in warm tropical climates, an estimated bite force of up to 40,000 pounds per square inch, strong enough to crush a small whale's skull. This could absolutely have killed our shark Alpha, although there is one massive problem with this. You see how I started saying how we started seeing physical evidence from the giant squids, leaving wounds on animals, stuff washed up from shore from them. Now, wouldn't that be the case with the Megalodon? Sure, we could use the shark Alpha as evidence, but wouldn't there be other physical signs? I mean, sharks constantly lose their teeth and regrow them, and we find them all the time out in the ocean. Surely, if there was any current Megalodons out there, we'd see their teeth. I mean, new Megalodon teeth, not the old fossilized ones. And just like giant squid attacks where we saw their evidence on whales, wouldn't we also see the same thing on whales? The bite marks and scars from that of a Megalodon and matching that of a Megalodon? And not only that, the fact that we see huge large whales at all might even be more evidence that Megalodons are indeed extinct, because if they were alive, they'd be wiping out all of the whales and potentially orcas as well. We also have to take into account that Megalodon would have lived in a warm tropical climate and a subtropical ocean. Prime locations to be spotted by people with their speedboats, just normal boats, and travelling through the ocean. They would not be able to live in the deep ocean trenches due to lack of food. Now, I know what you're going to say, there's loads of unexplored ocean out there. We've only explored like 5% of the ocean, but let me say this. We don't need to explore every square inch of a desert to know there ain't any T-Rexes roaming around there. The one thing I will say is that the trenches, however, even millions of years ago when Megalodon did exist, was always a poor source for food. That hasn't changed, so it wouldn't have lived at depth anyway. It seems highly unlikely any Megalodon still exists today to take down our shark Alpha. But something did. Could it be some unknown colossal beast which we are yet to discover? Some type of abyssal predator which would match the profile of swallowing the tag, taking it all the way down to them depths, and the temperature of the internal stomach. One thing is definitely sure, however, is that there's no conclusive evidence for one or the other. It's likely another huge colossal great white shark attacked our shark Alpha, either biting off a fin or swallowing it whole. The only thing which is confusing is the speed at which it descended down into the depths. Perhaps it was that mysterious bloop, which is an extremely loud, mysterious underwater sound recorded by the National Geographic. It was so loud and had an organic rise in tone that people actually think it's a giant unknown sea creature that made it. Either way, what happened to our shark Alpha? Seems likely it was eaten by another giant, colossal great white shark. Or if you really want to believe it, a Megalodon or another abyssal predator. Speaking of abyssal predators, have you ever wondered how the Mosasaurus survived 6 months without food in Jurassic Park? Or what was in other Jurassic Park and Jurassic World lagoons? Because it certainly wasn't a Mosasaurus. I recommend checking them out after this. Massive thanks to the InGen research team who are on screen now. I couldn't do it without your support, so thanks for supporting the channel, guys. And if you came